Welcome to another episode of Star 42. This is Michael.
This is Jace.
What did you start doing that throw thing? Do I have to start doing it?
I don't know. It's fun.
For anyone who's listening and not watching, Jace just like threw something behind him. I guess that's indicated,
It was a clamshell holder for headphones.
Oh, okay. It's indicative of the fact that for me, it's Friday after 5 p.m. It's been a very long week, which goes into news and stuff because today is January. What day? Is it the 16th?
It is the 16th.
Yes, it's January 16th. And I don't think we've talked since December-ish.
It was before Christmas.
It was. Or you say Christmas, I say the best day off being Jewish ever, but that's a different conversation. So we have a lot to talk about. And Jason and I were just saying, you know what I think we're going to have to do? We're going to see how long this recorded podcast goes. And we're going to have to maybe break it up to a part 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
But unlike the Stranger Things finale, I'll do like
the part. Seen.
Well, I wish I would have waited for it to be totally out so I could have got fast forward pieces to it. I'm not going to say anything else. But unlike the Stranger Things final season, I'm not going to post like episode 1 and then wait 4 weeks and annoy people if the episode 1 was very disappointing. I'll do like one day and then episode 2 like probably 5 minutes later because I'm lazy. I'm just going to get it all done.
Sounds great.
All right. But that being said, let's first of all recap. How was the end of your year? Vacation? What's going on?
Oh my gosh. So when we left, I don't know if I said it on here, but we had a surprise. Our gift to our children was a trip to Disneyland, Florida.
Yeah.
Right?
Wait, hang on. You just made a mistake. Disney World, Florida.
That's why I said Florida, because I'm sure I had it wrong. I get them confused.
For reference and context, I'm like a big Disney person. My wife and I have been to Disney multiple times. I have a whole story about how my daughter was adopted there. There's a story about that. Not this episode.
It's a previous episode.
You'll
have to listen to them all if you don't know.
Oh, we did have that in a previous. Great. And I lived in Florida for 2 years over COVID and went to Disney multiple times. So I'm very specific. The fact it's Disney World.
Thank you. Disney World. We stayed at the Art of Animation Resort.
That's one of my favorites. I've been there. We were there like the first year they opened. I love it.
We were in the King Triton building.
Okay.
Which is across from Ursula.
Yep.
Right. And it was fantastic. It got down, though. The weather got down to like 35 degrees while we were there.
Yeah. At night it does in Florida.
No. Like they shut stuff down.
In the middle of the day.
Yeah. Like we were like, we're Minnesotan. We don't care about this cold. And we went swimming. Because the pools are heated. But people around us were wearing like parkas. Like, what are you doing?
Well, I mean,
because they're not used to it.
When I lived in Orlando, it was like 70 degrees and people were wearing parkas. And we're walking around short t-shirts like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Now, you stayed at Art of Animation, so I'm going to ask you this. Did you notice that when you're in the pool, you go underwater, you hear music?
So an Uber driver told us that. And I tried to remember to do it. I don't recall it. But it's only in the big pool, I guess. Anyways, so we get there. It's great. The kids, we all get checked in. Our room is Ariel Sea themed, right? We got a picture of the guy from The Mermaid, the picture's crook, whatever. It's all great. Then my wife has a whole plan. She worked with a planner. So we had like 4 days planned at different parks and then 3 days recovery between those days, right?
That was good. That was smart.
When she was initially talking about, she's like, want to do every day? I'm like, no, we are not. I won't do it. It's bad. So we split it up and it was great. So we did 2 days at Universal and then we did 2 separate days at individual Disney parks. And Universal was fantastic. I was really excited because I was going to actually go on the roller coasters. I'm really big. I'm like, I was like 400 pounds recently, like last year. I'm down to like 350, which is huge.
That's good.
Yeah. I was able to ride on all but 3 roller coasters. So that's fantastic. I was able to ride on them though. So that was awesome. I didn't think I'd be able to ride on most of them.
I admittedly, of course, I'm 6'4".
Yeah.
But I don't have the size. So I generally haven't, even if a roller coaster is, sometimes like the older roller coasters I've noticed, it's hard to get in harness for me, but I can squish in.
Yeah.
But I really gained a lot of empathy because my son, who's now almost 6'6"
Yeah.
and must be over 300 pounds, he's a huge guy. Um, Over the Halloween time, we went to Kings Island in Cincinnati, and there was one time he got on a roller coaster and they couldn't get him on. And, you know, it as your son, you're just like, "I feel so horrible for him." And of course, I got off with him. I'm like, "Dude, I'm here for you."
Yeah.
So it's, Disney, I think, does a decent job of trying to manage that. But at the same time, it's not I empathize is what I'm saying. Like, dude, I get it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that that would be a problem until ServiceNow had their knowledge conference in Orlando. And I
Yes.
didn't realize, like, where the hotels were, and so I didn't bring my family with that time, and I felt awful. But, remember they had I don't know, were you there when they did
Oh,
the
I was
Florida
there.
one? Right,
But yeah,
remember how
Universal Studios.
they had the whole park? One of the
Yes.
roller coasters you could ride on, I went up with some of my old coworkers from Expedia, and I couldn't fit in the ride, right? And so I just assumed I guess I'm too big for these things now. 'Cause
Well,
I
I'm
didn't
glad you
realize how much that lived in the back of my head. But we were able to hit all the things. My kids loved everything except the Mummy roller coaster. They really hated that one in Universal Studios
did
because
you
it was
do
too
any of the
scary.
okay. Did you do any of the Harry Potter stuff?
But yeah, so my kids and my wife, we did all the Harry Potter, so
Did
much
they
Harry Potter
did
stuff.
they have the wands like you can do magic tricks?
We
That's
bought
awesome.
we got the wands, and they will do
Oh,
the
yeah.
tricks and make the rain fall, and the dragon shot fire, and they did like the Gringotts roller coaster, and they did so
It's
much
great.
stuff. Yeah,
And for reference
we
oh,
took the train from the one side of the park to the other side of the park, right? Because it's like the Hogwarts Express, it's and the how they do some things is kind of magical. Like I know that isn't Disney, but like you'd get in the train car and there was like this glass, like you can see the people walking by, but then it's actually like Harry Potter and Hermione and the Weasley,
really?
like you know what I mean? Because it's like it's almost like they have like a TV screen or something. I was like, the door's not that thick. How did they? That's amazing.
Isn't that entertainment technology amazing? So, over
Yeah.
the summer, we did a West Coast trip out to LA, and we wanted to do Disneyland, which, by the way, I've never liked Disneyland, especially once I went to Disney World, because it was never as good. This is the first time I went to Disneyland where I was like, "You know what? I think Disneyland is better now because they finally have all the magic bands and everything, but it's also smaller with, like, the same amount of rides across only 2 parks versus
Mm.
4." So I'm pro Disneyland now in California. But we also did the Harry Potter and Universal Studios. Now, Universal Studios LA, I don't think it's as big as Orlando. And I never went to Orlando Universal Studios except for the knowledge party. And admittedly, I ate before I went and drink a lot before I went. And so when I got there, for
You weren't gonna do
anybody,
rides.
yeah, I wasn't going to do rides. And for any reference compared to current knowledge parties, so if you've gone to the knowledge during the McDermott era versus previously, I will die on this hill. I will say the best knowledge party I ever went to starting at Knowledge 12 was Knowledge 12 pre-IPO. Bourbon Street, small group, 2,000 people. I talked about this before. And the other best one was the one in Florida where you walked into Universal Studios. They're handing out drinks right away. I'm like, well, we're going to get a martini. They're like, oh, go to the stall over there, vodka bar. I was walking martinis
Yeah.
all night, talking to people, having a great time. And now they just put us into a section of the sphere and say, hey, good luck. Have fun, enjoy Gwen Stefani, but I like, well, I don't care. Go Stefani. So that is my criticism of the knowledge parties these days. But so for people who weren't around in knowledge 17, I think, um, you missed out. That was an awesome one. Universal
It
Studios.
really was good, and the space was too big for the conference, but it was fine.
I
But
walked around, I saw so many people.
yeah,
Uh,
it was a
it
good
was great.
event.
It was a great event.
I hope they bring it back there because I would love an excuse to bring the family with. But
I would too.
I don't know that they will. I think they're incentivized
Too
to do it in
many.
Vegas.
I think it's more contracts probably. They
Who
they sign
knows? It's
that's usually how those things go. They sign a contract for so many,
I mean,
events.
I haven't gotten to that level yet with the conference I'm running, but maybe someday.
But maybe someday. You know what? I hope so because I wanna be 20 years from now when it's 20,000 people, I wanna be like, "I was there at the first null edge."
Yeah, I've got the speaking of that, I guess we're gonna mix these topics up, right? So null
We are.
edges in full force.
Hang on, before we get into there, we're
Yeah.
gonna throw in a little technology. So you were
Wait,
amazed.
wait, we should talk about your holiday stuff.
Well, we'll get there, but first, you
Okay,
were
okay.
amazed by the technology at Universal Studios. And
Yeah.
and to
And
give you
Disney. There was some stuff at Disney that
oh,
was
Disney's
also
amazing.
amazing. Right.
I've been on rides at Disney where I walk on, I'm literally like, "I cannot believe how amazing that was."
Yeah,
Disney does do it great.
they
And the
do.
technology they have with the way that they put everything into there, like Rise of the Resistance, I remember going on that and the way they do the whole storyline with the Rise of the Resistance, you're just
Yeah.
like, "I am in the movie."
Yeah, that was
Um,
cool. That was awesome.
yes. Yes. So that needless to say, the technology they have nowadays for entertainment is incredible. But that being said, um, the other part about this, and with Harry Potter, and this was really great. Once again, made it immersive. Where when we were at Universal Studios, they have the section of the Harry Potter in L.A. Universal Studios. It is the Hogsmeade area, smaller.
Okay.
But for everyone who's never been there before, it's great. You can buy a wand, and if you notice, the wand's got like a little glass IR tip, and
Yep.
all these stations they have these infrared cameras hidden, and you get to it, and if you do a certain stroke of magic, because it records it, it then triggers some kind of event like something
Making
moves in the
rainfall on a
store,
floating
rainfall,
umbrella.
whatever.
Yeah.
And those ones are I forgot how much they are. I
They're
didn't
like
look at the.
they're like
I did,
$50.
it depends. They have variations, but around that.
Yeah.
I got mine in my closet here in my office. But unbelievably amazing. It's fantastic, and it's technology that I was a kid. I went to Universal Studios as a kid, Disney World as a kid, and there was nothing like that. And it's just amazing. So wrap some technology into it with what they're doing nowadays. It's great.
Yeah.
My vacation, we really didn't do much, and it was all I ever thought it could be.
That sounds amazing too, though.
I mean, I had work and there's more in this. I haven't wanted to change anything yet on my LinkedIn. I want to address it here for 5 people listening, maybe 6. But we didn't do much. We enjoyed the Christmas day. Like I said, Jewish, did nothing, had stuff. I played a lot of Fortnite Odyssey with the Lego Fortnites because they dropped the Ninjago out. And I'm like,
Sure.
oh, whole new island. I thought it has been great. New Year's, we kept it pretty chill. I think I was in bed by 11 p.m. The Ohio State game, I'm going to tell everybody this. I even last year when Ohio State won the national championship, I still didn't like Ryan Day. He looks like John Cooper the way he coaches. He's not from Ohio. And as soon as I saw in the news before the Miami Ohio State game when it said Ryan Day was going to take over play calling, I got on a FanDuel and said bet $100 on Miami. The
All
whole
right.
game, I was like, I'm not surprised. And I really am a diehard Ohio State purist in saying I don't
I
like Ryan Day.
I need to understand something. So, the Ohio State game, this is college football, yeah?
College, yes. Now it's NFL semi-pro.
Wait, Ohio State is NFL?
No, no, no. The college is basically semi-pro NFL
Yes, semi-pro.
with transfer portals,
Which
pay.
it's always confused me because it isn't pro and there's such a following for it in Ohio. You know what I mean?
So,
Like,
so
and maybe it's just the different circles that we're in, right? Because like I'm not in a big sports circle. Like my brother Alex, my brother Russ, they like the sports stuff, but even they don't follow the college football stuff. They just follow the NFL stuff.
so here's the thing with football in Ohio. Number one, football started in Ohio.
Did it?
Yes,
I mean, I know the NFL Hall of Fame is there, and I only
Canton,
know that because I was looking for stuff to do when I was out there working with you over a decade
because
ago.
because it started in Ohio.
I
Number
That's
two,
something I didn't know. More trivia.
Massillon High School football. And Massillon is a place in Ohio. There's almost nothing there. It's in between Columbus and Cleveland, I think,
Okay,
roughly. I don't even know where it is. I'm in Columbus. I like cities. Um, it's probably one of the top like high school, I'll say public schools because now it's different nowadays, but one of the best public school football programs in the country. And then number 3, when you look at Ohio State and where they are in Columbus, there's no professional football team in Columbus. They have other professional sports that, do well and generally in this market, but Columbus is all about Ohio State football. And I grew up as a
Okay.
kid going to Ohio State football games and that whole culture. And you will go to Ohio State football game, and I've been to NFL games where, yeah, there's 40, 50,000 people and they're all cheering, but whatever, they're just enjoying the game. Go to Ohio State game, it's going to be packed, close to 100,000 people. Now it's a little less because they've redone seating.
Yeah.
And it is a massive, massive culture and following.
Well, if I ever come back out to Ohio, I'll have to go to a game with you.
I hope ServiceNow stock goes up so I can afford a game.
Oh,
It's
man.
and the Ohio State football program was what? Worth like, was it 70 billion recently they figured out? That's that's massive money.
Yeah.
And here's my deal. I crunched the numbers one time. So Woody Hayes was the big Ohio State coach back in the day,
Okay.
60s, 70s. He set the Ohio State program in how it was, how it is a lot of it, especially the rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan. And Woody Hayes was one of the best Ohio State coaches. They have streets named after him. They had a lot of the best players historically through him. And he was also, my grandfather met him once because my grandfather in Ohio was the president of the Ohio the Ohio Hospital Association. And they had Woody Hayes come and speak at a big annual event. And here's the thing about Woody Hayes. Number one, he never took more money than what a professor made. Number two, he cared about his kids to the point there are stories where one of his football players was failing out of school. He showed up at the kid's dorm, said, "Pack your things," made the kid move in with him, and every night he came and checked his homework and like made sure he graduated. He cared about his kids.
Yeah.
And number three, um, he was just a great human. My grandfather had to find a speaker for the Ohio Hospital Association, like annual luncheon. He called Woody Hayes and said, "Hey, Coach Woody, we want you to speak." This was after he retired. He had a bad end to his career. And Woody Hayes said, and he asked Woody and said, "Woody, what's your speaking fee?" Or Mr. Hayes, as my grandfather would have called him. And Woody Hayes says, "Listen, I am just happy to come and speak. You take whatever amount you set aside or you think is fair. Pick it, pick a nonprofit charity of your choice. Just give them that money. I'm just going to come." And my grandfather always said how he came and was a wonderful speaker because he's very charismatic and passionate. He just loved what he did. And some years later, my grandfather, same thing, had to get a speaker and went to John Cooper. John
Oh,
Cooper was a coach at Ohio State through relative the 80s and early 90s. And he was the coach when I was growing up. So I
sure.
saw him and I had a deep hate for Cooper as a coach because he always lost against Michigan. My grandfather tells the story how he had John Cooper come, and John Cooper just was a horrible speaker. He swore and went all over the place, and it was just bad. And me being a Ohio State purist, a couple years ago, I ran the numbers on statistics of since Woody Hayes, who was the all-time great coach of Ohio State, since his time here, I calculated the coaches that have won against Michigan for those who are from Ohio versus the coaches win rate against Michigan who are not from Ohio. So this John Cooper guy was not from Ohio, and he only beat Michigan twice out of his 12 or 13 years. Tied once, beat him
Wow.
twice,
That's
and then
very
lost the
few.
rest. Very few. And he had national championship teams. It made no sense. But then
Yeah.
you looked at Jim Tressel. He took over first season. He beat Ohio. He beat Michigan. And he was from Ohio. After him, Urban Meyer. He never lost to Michigan. He was from Ohio.
Wow.
Ryan Day. He's only beat Michigan twice. The first season when he basically had Urban Meyer's team, and then this last season, which my grandmother could have coached that team and beaten Michigan with that talent. God rest her soul. Um, and he's not from Ohio. And I did the statistics, and for coaches who are not from Ohio, their win rate against Michigan at the time, I think I calculated 18%, and maybe down to 17 or 16.
Sure.
And so even though Ryan Day the previous football season lost to Michigan, and then they came and won the national championship in this massive, you know, change in how they played. I personally believe that was two things. Number one, I think the players themselves got fired up about the loss because it was a big upset. And number
Yeah.
two, Ryan Day wasn't calling the plays.
Oh,
And then it goes into the game against Indiana. Immediately, I'm thinking, you know what? They're probably going to lose because I think Indiana just wants it more. And Ryan Day is not someone to motivate his team. He's generally a great coach. He gets great talent. Obviously, he's always been national contender.
right.
He's won a lot, but I've always thought he's a great coach. He's not a great Ohio State coach.
He's not a
And
motivator.
yes, and I do not bite my tongue on it. So a few months ago, we had a tour of Ohio Stadium as a marketing event, and we're
Yeah.
in the locker room at Ohio State, and they have all these banners across that every team that Ryan Day has beat as head coach at Ohio Stadium, they will put a banner up of the team name, of the score, and the date. And
Sure.
there's no Michigan. The guy even points it out, saying, if you'll notice, there's no Michigan banner here because we'll never put Michigan. It is TUN, the team up north. And we look at it. There it is. And I go, there's only one. Everybody just looked at me like, ooh. So that's my
that's a
whole
lot of
rant.
that's a lot of passion. I didn't know there was so much passion for college
Yes.
football from you.
Yes.
Also,
And
it makes you
Ohio
question now.
State,
I know you lived in Michigan for a bit. Was
5
that a
years.
big conflict? Like a
During that
turmoil?
time, Ohio State was losing.
Yeah.
And I got roused all the time because everyone was a Michigan fan or a Michigan State fan.
Yeah.
The last year the second to last year, Ohio State tied, which was like, at least we didn't lose finally. The last year we won. So the following year when I moved, I was blabbing to my friends, man, this year Ohio State's going to beat you again. And guess what? Ohio State lost bad because of Cooper.
Oh.
And the other thing I'll say is I've also learned like a lot of times I root for Michigan now. And my dad one time got mad at me. He said, why are you rooting for Michigan? Like, that's, why not? Aren't you a diehard Ohio State fan? I'm like, yes, Dad, I am. But the players they're getting from these portals are not. They don't care about Ohio State like I care about Ohio State. Why should I root for Ohio State so much when not even these players are? And the other point I'll make from this rant, I'm sorry, listeners, you're probably like, God, Slabodnick, this
No,
is
this
not
this is
tech.
perfect. They're learning about an
Yeah,
American pastime. They're learning about college football
college
and
football.
the passion of the people of Ohio and what they have. Because I didn't
Yes,
know that this passion
yes.
existed. I didn't know that football started in Ohio, along with Micro Center, along with who knows whatever else.
A lot
But
of great stuff from Ohio, believe it or not. But
yeah,
what I've also learned is my passion for Ohio State football is what I call like old school purist. It was from a time before the transfer portal and before NIL, where now kids are coming and going.
yeah,
The schools are basically paying these kids, for lack of a better phrase, to play for them. And realistically, Ryan Day is probably a great general coach for college nowadays because he coaches more like an NFL coach.
yeah.
So I just taken the approach to say, you know what? I still love Ohio State football. I wish we could go back to the old days where you had to beat Michigan, to win the championship, but it's not there anymore. So I'm just like, all right, I'll just root for whoever I like.
It feels like you have a multi-choice ballot of like who you want to win more than the other. And
Yeah.
that's how I root for football. I'm not a big football fan, right?
Yeah.
But the Vikings they always disappoint. I want
I
them to
know.
win, right? And the Vikings have their grudge against the Packers. But the
Yes.
Packers are like, this isn't a grudge. We don't care about you guys. We
We
care
keep
about
beating
the
you.
Bears, right?
Yes.
So my order of precedence is I want the Seahawks to win above all. And I want the Packers to lose. I'm not going to say I want the Vikings to win. I want them to do well, but it's fine. I just don't want the Packers to win. See, that's the order of precedent. It feels like it's similar with how you're treating
Yes.
Michigan, and like, okay, if Ohio's not going to beat Michigan, I want Michigan to be great too.
Yes, because my philosophy is, look, the Big Ten overall, I want to be a power conference. And
Yeah.
the best games I can remember historically was when we got to the Michigan Ohio State game, last game of the regular season, and Michigan was number 1 or 2, and Ohio State was number 1 or 2, and they had battles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was
close
great.
game.
It was
Lots of
great.
amazing plays. Yeah.
So
I can see that.
Yeah. And I just don't feel that anymore, which is really sad because I miss it. As stressful as it was, I miss it. And
So
now, go ahead.
I know we're so deep in the football, and I'm not a big football fan. Like I open, but I do love tournament structures and I love these things, and football always confuses me. How does it work where Ohio can get the championship and not beat Michigan, or Michigan get it without beating Ohio.
So this is where the 12-team playoff changed it, where I mean, originally it used to be everybody plays and
Yep.
then you get invited to a bowl
Yep.
and you played the bowl. And then at the end of it all, people would vote, coaches or whoever would vote, who's the number one, number two, whatever. Well,
Okay.
people, they didn't like that because there was always arguments of who was really the better football team. So at one point in the
So wait, the
2000,
Big Ten used to just be a, I want to call it this, but for lack of better terms, just a popularity contest amongst those individuals who voted.
NCAA football in general.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, at one point, the Big Ten is one conference and the Pac 10 is another conference. They would take the best from the Big Ten and the best from the Pac 10 and play them in the Rose Bowl. So it used to be the Rose Bowl was the place you wanted to get to as a Big Ten
Okay.
team. That's where you wanted to be. That was like your
Sure.
championship. And then in 2002, they decided to say, "Look, we're going to do this. We are going to still vote who are the top two teams. Those
All
top
right.
two teams will play in a national championship to finally figure out who's the best."
I
Now,
see.
you know who those top two teams were the first time they did that system?
No, I don't.
Ohio State and Miami.
Mm.
And this was 2002. And Ohio State, I remember my dad saying this. We got to there, and at the time, Miami was the powerhouse. My dad said to me, saying, "I am so glad Ohio State's here. I just hope we do not lose very badly." That was it. And
Okay.
Ohio State won in double overtime. There was questionable calls, pass interference, whatever. My take on it is, look, I've been watching Ohio State games where there's a bad questionable call against Ohio State, and it sucks.
Yep.
In this case, it went in Ohio State's favor. Ohio State ultimately won as an underdog. Craig Krenzel was the quarterback. Tressel. You just had this underdog of these kids who were just tough, and they
Yep.
made it. And it was a great game. And it was the first time they did that 1 and 2 playoff system. Well, you can imagine over time, people start arguing who's 1 and 2. So they changed the
Mm.
system again and said, all right, we're once again going to do rankings, but we're going to take the top four and do this as a small little tournament, 1 and 4 versus 2 and 3. And then the winners of those play each other in a championship.
Yep.
Well, guess who were the two final ones in that championship?
Ohio State
Ohio
and
State, Oregon. By the way, incidentally, they played when I started ServiceNow back in 2015 was a championship game. I was at our sales kickoff
I see.
of my possible employer is what I'll say. Anyway,
Yeah.
or my employer. And Ohio State, once again, I don't know if they were an underdog, but they won very well. But during that series of championship, they did play Alabama. And once again, Alabama was a powerhouse. We were expecting to lose, and we won. And so that was Urban Meyer's, I think, second season or something. And we won this championship. And now, if we get to the new system, which started last season, not this season, they finally said, look, we're tired of these arguments. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to set up a 12-team playoff system. If you win your conference, like if you're a Big Ten championship winner, you automatically go. So there's no doubt about winning
Who
a
is?
conference, but not going.
Yep.
And then we're going to take the rest of them, I don't know, out of the conferences, maybe 8 more teams or whatever. We're going to do the voting. So there was still things around that, like Notre Dame should have gone, but people are arguing about it. But we're generally going to take the 12 teams, and through these 12 teams, 2 of them get to sit out, or some of them, 2 of them or 4 of them, I don't remember, sit out the first round. They get a bye week because they're so highly rated.
Sure.
And so what happened was now Ohio State can lose to Michigan like they did last year, but they won all their other games.
And they won
Um,
the division then.
they didn't win the Big Ten. See, Michigan won the Big Ten,
Oh,
and I don't know. No, Michigan did win the Big Ten, but because Ohio State lost to Michigan, Ohio State did not go to the Big Ten championship last year.
I see.
But they had won enough to still go to the playoffs.
I see.
But they were ranked lower. This year, once again, they lost to Michigan, but they still got to the Big Ten championship because they did well enough. They lost in the Big Ten championship against Indiana, which I knew Indiana was deep down, I knew they were going to win because I just felt like, you know what? Ohio State was thinking, hey, like last year, we lost to Michigan, but pardon me. No, they did beat Michigan, but they played Indiana. They lost, but I feel like they thought they had everything tied up and they were going to win. And I also felt since the Indiana loss in the Big Ten championship, they still had a good enough record to go to the playoffs and be ranked very high. And I think like last year, they thought, okay, we lost to Indiana. It was a close game. Like last year, everyone was saying they're probably going to win it all. We're going to win it all. And you know what? They went into the playoffs and Miami just dominated.
Okay. All right. Well,
So,
it's so fascinating. I love tournaments. I love tournament
yeah,
structures. When I ran that hackathon, I don't know if you heard about that hackathon I ran last year, uh, for that AI in a box product that I've made and I'm doing
I
stuff
did
with.
not.
I
I
ran
mean,
a
I know you're doing
hackathon.
that.
Right.
Okay.
I ran a hackathon though, where I was like, hey guys, I'm running this hackathon, whatever. You guys have a week to build with this thing, and then we'll do a voting on LinkedIn. And so every day
Nice.
I had votes. And it was a single limb. I'll include a link. I was just looking over it the other day, and I made a post on my blog actually the other day because I was closing out old projects on Basecamp, and I had that
Nice.
one open, and I was like, oh, I want to put all these things down, and there was like 30 teams, only 6 of them submitted stuff, but it had like the, single elimination style things.
Yeah.
And it became a popularity contest because like how do you win a hackathon when you don't have judges, right? You win the votes of random people. Well, how many people can you get to turn up to vote? Right. But
That's great. But you did
yeah,
it.
you know, um, we're already at 30 minutes. I
I know we're
think
at 30 minutes.
I think what we should do is we should tell our awesome listeners, all 5 of them, or how many ever out there, that they'll have to come back next week and listen to the next episode. And I think we should.
Before we do that, I
Yes. What do
have
you?
to make announcements.
All right. All right. Let's do it.
So I have not changed LinkedIn yet, but going into
Wait, wait.
2026,
Are you sure you want to do this on this episode? You could keep them waiting. No, you got it. You got to do it now. You got to do
I
it
got
now.
to do. I just want to get it over with, so I'm going to
Get
change
it over
LinkedIn.
with.
Whatever. People are
Stick the
probably going
knife
to
in.
people are probably going to see the change before I even post this. So whatever. So into 2026, I have a new role at ServiceNow.
Hmm.
If I just said I'm an employer, well, I'm not supposed to, but whatever. I have a new role. I am now in a brand new role, newly created in 2026, an AI solution architect for Commercial Central.
That's cool.
Yes. And a lot of it, which I agree with, is we are trying to do better in terms of saying, hey, how can we show the value of AI for helping people to work better?
I'm all about it,
And
man.
I am all too, and you know what's most ironic about it? Being Gen X, I have been very lagged behind, latent, whatever the right word is, to adopting AI. I'm now starting to do more and more. But like a lot of other Gen X people, I'm like, oh, what's going on with this? Whatever. But the reason why I say I'm taking this role is not because I'm this massive AI expert. I mean, I
Right.
know the ins and outs, sure. I am a massive ServiceNow expert.
Right.
I know all of the platform and integrations and workflow data fabric and all this stuff, zero copy connectors, and how wonderful Flow Designer is that beats every other possible automation capability we have in ServiceNow.
Yep.
Yeah, Jace, for those not watching, the look on Jace's face is like, I'm not gonna say anything. Not gonna say anything.
That is
Um,
correct.
um,
It's okay though.
and I'm a firm believer that that is where the AI gets a lot more value. Not, I mean, I think the AI is great in the platform. We have the data scientists have trained it and built it. But I think at the end of the day, not a lot of models are very similar. Sometimes I don't think there's a big enough difference between them. I mean, sometimes like, oh, the Gemini's better with this stuff,
Do
and
you
sometimes
know who
OpenAI is better.
do you know who PewDiePie is?
You were telling me this, like build your own model. I was just listening to our November episode where you talked about it.
Oh, did I? Okay, okay. I didn't know if I
Yeah.
brought that up or not.
Yes, yes.
Effectively, like he said, you can spend all this money and have $20,000 of hardware and build your own crazy model, or you can just run a small model with the
And be
correct
good.
tools.
Yes.
And if you
Yes.
run it the correct tools, it'll give you almost the exact same result for a fraction of the
Yes.
cost.
Yes. And but my point is, the models themselves are not what's totally bringing the value, at least to work stuff.
Yeah,
It
true.
is getting all the data to it to answer your questions, and it is the access to the tools to then do other stuff. And I always talk about how was in Dynamics one time. I was telling the copilot, hey, someone duplicated this opportunity. I got to copy engagements from one to the other. And it said, sorry, I can't do that. And I'm like, well, what good are you? This is what I need. And I'm sure things are always improving in that realm, but that's just an example of say AI to really, really be impactful. We have to start getting automation. But that being said, I'm excited for the role. I am a ServiceNow purist.
The way you're opening the roll up. Did you hear about this change on ServiceNow like the top level board where they rewrote the rules so now they can have a co-CEO?
Oh, I didn't read that part yet. I've been so busy the past few weeks, I haven't kept up
But
on
the way you
anything now.
introduced it, you're like, they made a new role and I'm gonna step into it. It's gonna be fantastic. It's just for me. I'm like, there's no way. There's no
No,
way. No way.
no,
No
no
way.
way. No way. No, 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 no. I'm not. To be fair, like I've said before, I'm kind of a socialist. Like I'm an individual contributor. I want to be in the trenches. I want to work with the
There are
customers.
people at that level who are individual contributors. Look at HubSpot's top level guys. The guy who founded HubSpot, he has no one to report to him.
I would love that. I think when
His
Fred
name is
Luddy was
Dharmish something. Anyways, he's
anyway.
very social on LinkedIn and other things. But
All right. Well, what I love about it is it's a brand new role in the
yeah,
in the company, and that means I get to say, "Hey, I get to help figure this out." I'm not the only one, obviously, and we have a lot of smart people I'm working with. But more importantly, I am still generally in the same territory as before with a lot of the same customers, more even.
yeah,
But one of the things, and this is critical in general to work, is I love my team who I work with, bright people. I didn't want to leave them. I didn't want
yep.
to leave my customers. And I am a very happy camper, even though it's been very busy right now and it's going to be busy.
That's awesome, man. I'm so
Thank
excited to
you.
hear that.
Thank
That
you.
is fantastic. I have lots of questions. Like, we should talk more specifically about like how this AI stuff is actually going to be useful. Not like not to be facetious, but like actually, because like I've been working on my own stuff as well, and I literally just
Hmm.
got tool calling working within
Yeah.
ServiceNow without Now Assist. So that's really exciting for me, right? And that opens up a
Yeah.
lot of doorways because then you can query the knowledge base and you can have it scripted,
Yes.
create catalog items or submit catalog items or whatever the case is, right? Tell you what's
Hmm.
due, this week or today. Like you log in, like, what do I got to work on today? Oh, here's all your stuff that's due, right? You have these approvals. These knowledge articles are expiring. It looks like these people haven't been followed up with, right? But like you said, it all depends on the data. If ServiceNow doesn't
The
know
data.
you have outstanding emails from stakeholders, how could it tell you?
And more importantly, are there already tools in place to do some of that? Because data does some of the data is discrete. You don't always need AI for it either. That's the other
That's
part.
that's also true. Yep.
Yes.
If you do it without AI, you should do it without AI.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, this is going to be the end of part one. You're right. There's way more we got to get to. In the meantime, wait for like 5 minutes before I get the next episode up, or maybe 20,
I
whenever
do
I
have to
get to
say
it.
one more thing because I don't know if this will be out before February 5th.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll get it
So,
out. How's that?
Null Hub is coming up February 5th. It's a networking only event. Come and check it out. Go to theknowledge.com. You'll see how to sign up. You can join tens of other people. There's 40 some people signed up for it already, but it's just a networking thing for like an hour and a half virtual. So please come and
But
enjoy the company.
but if you know Jason how smart he is, a lot of those people are probably very smart. It is worth it.
Yeah,
Totally worth it.
it's great. All
All
right, we'll
right.
see you
Until
guys
then,
next week ish.
next sometime. This has been Michael.
And this is Jace. See
Bye
ya.
for now.